What's up, everyone? To say that little was happening in the Big Brother 22 house over the past 24 hours would be a huge understatement. So, we've got so many updates to get through. So, welcome to your live feed update. Right before we jump into the updates, guys, please hit the subscribe button if you are new around here, and also click the like button and click the bell icon to get notified every single time a brand new upload goes live. And I'm happy to announce as well, guys, I will be covering the 32nd season of The Amazing Race. I just did a cast analysis, guys. I'll put it up in a card right now so you can check that out. At the top of the screen, you can check out my cast analysis for The Amazing Race 32. But obviously, we've got some Big Brother updates to get through first, so we'll jump right into that. First things first, when the house guests woke up, they all seemed to be in a very good, sort of energetic, enthusiastic mood, and they were sort of reminiscing about the Big Brother comics comp, just sort of chatting about that. But everyone seems to be so happy because I think everybody thinks they are safe this week. Obviously, Nicole's safe because she's the head of household. Enzo's not going anywhere. Cody's not going anywhere. Memphis believes he's not going anywhere, and Christmas feels she's not going anywhere. But obviously, someone's got to go. So I think when it comes down to Thursday night, the tensions are going to be. You could cut it with a knife, you really could. So I think whilst everyone's all in happy land now, it's going to become a serious town when it comes to, it's going to be serious town when it comes to Thursday night. Memphis headed up to the HOH room where Nicole was listening to some music, and he was basically saying to her, I totally do not expect you to use the power of veto. It's not going to be really that beneficial to your game. I really understand that. I guess it's really sort of putting the nail in your own coffin, what Memphis is trying to do there. I suppose he could have sort of pitched it slightly, sort of not wavered totally one way. Simply use the veto makes it seem desperate at that point. You've got to sort of be like, yeah, I understand. Yeah, I'm guessing, you're not looking to use the power of veto, but let me just say this, and then maybe strike up a little deal here and there, and don't make it too good to be true. Just make it level and really sort of hit the weak point of Nicole's game. That's going to make her go, okay, that's going to help me get that angle covered. And of course, this is Big Brother. You can strike up a deal and just go, next week I'm not going to keep that deal because it's Big Brother. You got to expect the unexpected, and you got to do what you got to do to win the game. So I think they sort of went backwards and forwards for a few minutes. Sort of, Memphis said he planted a couple of seeds here and there, sort of saying, I think that he's not. He didn't really outright say that he's not going for her, and I think that's why, because Memphis's game has been quite transparent so far, and he hasn't really sort of gave any BS to anyone. He sort of just said it straight up, which is why he didn't tell Nicole that he wasn't actually going to be gunning for it. I mean, he probably is if he wins head of household next week, because the simple reason of Nicole put him on the block. So I don't think Nicole's going to waste any chances there, but Nicole was sort of giving him false hope, sort of saying, there's always potential, Memphis, that I might use the veto. The only way I'd use it is if it's going to be beneficial to my game. She's already confirmed with Enzo and Cody that she's not going to use it, so to see her use it now would be a massive shock to the system, and it would be betraying her closest allies. So I think it would put her in a worse position to actually use the veto. So I think the best thing for Nicole to do is not to use the veto and send Memphis out the door. Nicole, Cody, and Enzo were talking at one point, and Nicole was saying that she feels like Christmas is pretty annoyed at her, and it's been an ongoing theme for maybe 1 or 2 weeks now, that a lot of the house guests are sick of having Christmas around. They're just not a massive fan of her. They find her quite irritating as a person to live with, so they essentially just want her out the door. But obviously they're putting game aside and personal aside and sort of keeping Christmas around because they feel that they can beat her in comps and also beat her in the end. But Nicole was sort of saying if she does get to the final 2, she doesn't want to face jury questions, and to me that is not something, I don't think anyone wants to face it, but it's sort of just like, you should have a bit more gusto than that. If you really want to play the game, you've got to be ready to articulate if you want to win, and sort of basically be able to intricately describe every single game move you've done. And I'm trying to rack my brains of many game moves that Nicole has made. I mean, I guess she's had a successful week this week, and obviously we've got a few more weeks where I think she may actually perform quite well and end up in the final 2. But I wouldn't count off for a second. Nicole could be the winner. It depends really if she's sitting next to Cody in the final 2, because I think Cody would beat her. I just think, again, as I've said a couple of times as well this week, the jury this time around, I don't feel are a jury that want to reward someone to win the game twice. I think they are much more keen on crowning a brand new winner rather than having Nicole win the game twice. But I think Nicole needs to get in the mindset that she is, not excited, but sort of she's a bit more eager to answer these jury questions, because when you're sort of moping around about it and saying you don't want to do it, I guess it puts the wrong mindset in, and then when you get to the final 2 jury questions, you can often mess up answering the questions, and then that can cost you the 500G. So get her head screwed on. She's got a few weeks. It's like revising for an exam or a test or anything, a pop quiz. You just got to be ready for it, and you got to go in and smash it and have the confidence, because confidence is key a lot of the time. Further into that conversation, Nicole was saying that she did actually let Christmas win a game of backgammon because of the fact that she's on the block. She doesn't want to sort of feel any more guilt or make Christmas even more angry at her. But, Enzo was sort of saying, she just tried to vote Nicole out and now she wants mercy. So Enzo was saying Christmas is actually very, very lucky that she's staying around another week. Memphis, Cody, and Enzo were talking at one point, and they were basically saying that Christmas is way too intense in this game, and they're saying she's going to totally spiral when Nicole decides not to use the power of veto. And they sort of continued mocking Christmas for a little while, and just sort of talking about how they find her too much, quite annoying and intense in the game. And it's sort of, I think Christmas has been actually very, very nice to Memphis. We'll get onto something to do with that later. But just taking care of him in general. And I think Memphis has been a bit harsh the way he's sort of talking about her behind her back. Although, I know it's a game at the end of the day, but I think for the fact on a personal level, Christmas has actually been very, very kind and caring to Memphis. So Memphis should be a tad more careful and a bit more respectful to what he's saying about Christmas. Because I think when someone, even though this is Big Brother and you've got to split up game and personal, I think when someone is genuinely taking care of you, when you've got, like, I think he's injured his foot and she's making sure he's feeling okay, I think there comes a line where you've got to at least, you can kick them out of the house for all you want, you can nominate them, backdoor them, do whatever, but I think there comes a line when you're actually being a bit nasty about them and saying nasty things about them and mocking them when they're actually being very, very nice to you. Memphis was talking to Enzo about Nicole, and he was basically saying that Cody is panicking that he could get backdoored this week, and that is the phrasing Cody used. Obviously, you can't be backdoored when there's only 5 people in the game, because a backdoor is when you haven't competed in the veto competition, so you've got no chance to save yourself whatsoever. So it can't be a backdoor, but I guess it's the closest phrase to a backdoor we can get, where essentially Nicole would take one of the nominees down, put Cody up, send him out the door. Cody obviously has that panic in the back of his mind, but I think he really genuinely does trust that Nicole's not going to do that. But Memphis was basically saying to Enzo, we've got to make sure that this doesn't happen. Nicole doesn't use the veto, and we send Christmas straight out the door this week. So I think he's going to get one hell of a shock when it's him heading out the door to talk to Julie on Thursday. Memphis was telling Enzo about the fact that they've survived the majority of the house this season, and Memphis was sort of saying after the first few weeks he really didn't think he was going to last that long, and to be honest I don't think many of us did. After he had that sort of dictatorship HOH reign in week 2, I think everyone was like, yeah, he's a goner on week 3 or 4, but somehow he's managed to survive all the way to the final 5. He's probably going to come 5th place and not make it any further than that, but I've got to say, everything else aside, I think he's done very, very well to make it that far after a couple of dictatorship HOH reigns. Enzo seems to have had a moment of clarity, because he was talking to the cameras at one point saying that if he does not win head of household next week, that he will be the person heading home. So I think he's very likely going to be gunning for it with all of his strength and power that he has, because he said that apparently he believes that Cody wants Christmas to stay even next week as well. But he's saying that if he kept Memphis around, he would hate to do it, even if he was to keep him around this week, but he believes that it would get him to the final 3. So I think Enzo believes he's got a better shot at getting to the final 3 by keeping Memphis. But obviously, we're not playing for the final 3, we're playing for the final 2, and then eventually the crown, as the BB All-Star champ. So I think Enzo needs to be very, very careful with the move he makes this week and evaluate every single option he's got, because I think we've seen Enzo sort of waver before every single eviction so far, saying, I'm going to go rogue, I'm going to make this move. Then all of a sudden, he takes the safe path, and it works out for his game, but it seems as though things are starting to catch up on him. And, I did see someone in the comments section yesterday who made a very valid point, saying, they can, there's going to come a point where Enzo's going to regret not voting Nicole out, and I think that's coming very, very soon. So he needs to basically realise, okay, should I take out Memphis or should I take out Christmas? And I think either way, though, even if he does send it to a split tie, Nicole's going to vote to evict Memphis. So Memphis is screwed this week. I don't think there's any way of getting out of this alive. So Enzo needs to really, really try and win the HOH competition next week. I still think Cody will take Enzo to the final 3 rather than Christmas, but I think Enzo's sort of in his head. But still, even if that is the case, I think Enzo's going to be cut at final 3, and Cody and Nicole would like to sit next to each other in the final 2. Now, the most talked about moment over the past few weeks of Big Brother was a moment between Memphis and Christmas late at night. So it's sort of been open for interpretation, where Memphis was lying in bed, Christmas went over, and because it was so dark and the mics were quite muffled, we couldn't really understand what was happening. And many have perceived it as Christmas giving Memphis a kiss, and many have perceived it as Christmas whispering something to Memphis. So I don't know. Let me know, guys. What do you think happened? It's definitely up in the air, and you can't really tell. In my opinion, I'm sort of like leaning towards saying it was a whisper, but you can't really hear anything she's saying, so it's hard to tell. But they have obviously been very, very close. They've been giving each other facials, and Christmas has been rubbing his foot. I know it's totally blown out of proportion. It could just be in a friendly way, but I think a lot of people are insinuating because of all this, you can't really count it out, or it's. The idea is up there that potentially could have happened. They could have kissed one another. But in my opinion, I think it was a whisper. But guys, let me know what you think in the comment section. To sum everything up, Nicole is very likely not going to use the power of veto still. Cody is panicking that he may end up on the block by Nicole using the veto. Christmas, I think, feels comfortable this week. Memphis believes Christmas is heading out the door, so there's going to be a blindside no matter what this week. And yeah, it's just exciting times ahead. And Enzo's sort of wavering backwards and forwards because he is worried that he is basically playing for fourth or third place here. And he needs to think, okay, by taking out Christmas or Memphis, what's going to get him to the final two chairs that'll help him win the game? But it's going to be very, very hard for him, I think, to do that either way now. But he's just been very, very intricate with his moves now, and it's like, you know, allies are literally like just going bang, 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 you're gone, you're gone, you're gone, and it's going to be blindside after blindside now. So very exciting week ahead where I don't think Nicole's going to use the veto. But guys, let me know what you think. Do you think Nicole's going to use the veto, and who do you think is heading out the house this week? That is all of your game updates for today, folks. A massive thank you to you all for watching, and I'll reiterate what I said at the beginning of the video. I will be covering The Amazing Race Season 32, which I can't wait to jump right into. So I have done one video on that so far. You can check out the Amazing Race cast analysis that I did. I'll put it in the end card here, guys, so you can click that there. But again, guys, thank you so much for watching. I genuinely appreciate everyone's support. Check out the description for a few interactive features where you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and also you can become a patron of TV Talks with Tom, guys. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Hope you all have a fantastic week. But until your next live feed update, I've been your host, Tom Vasey. Good night.